Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
Literally a guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that P2 lead, 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one and all. We are back here with PSGL. We're back with PCF2. I'm joined by Nathan Richards, looking very festive, I gotta say, my dear friend. But we are here for the next round of PCF2, and well, it's Portugal tonight. Spain's the glasses, but Richie, how you feeling?
Well, very excited in one sense. In the other sense, I'm not that excited because the racing here isn't always the best. And of course, I got my glasses on as we're here in sunny Portugal. Well, hopefully sunny Portugal. So I thought it would make some sense. But no, good evening, everyone. It's great to be back here, of course, in PCF2. We've got another round yet again, and probably domination from Mirko Soriano. We've had, 6 rounds already, and Mirko's got a podium in each of them for all the rounds he's attended. I think he missed round 2 back in Belgium, but since then he's had a podium every single time, a couple of wins, a couple of seconds, and a couple of thirds. So a brilliant job from him. He leads the standings, obviously, on 64 points. A 21-point gap ahead of Lima Pinter in second. So he's quite cut clear, isn't he, so far, Sappy?
Yeah, he's really just got a clean break from the rest of the field. That 21 points is going to be massive, considering the unique system that PSGL runs. That's an entire first place and a 6th place apart, to put that in perspective. So for Pinter just to get on even keel, he would have to win a race and then get 6th on the next one. And Soriano would have to sit both rounds out. But as we've seen, 6 rounds, 5 starts, 5 podiums. Absolutely immense consistency. We look for the rest of the field. We see, of course, the 2 Alpines of Pepinter and Linton with 43 and 35 points respectively. Single win for Pepinter, 2 wins for Linton, and then 2 seconds is going to see Pepinter just slightly pip on the standings, with Tycho Hardy, Campbell Statra making the top 5, and you can see the rest of the standing sheet right before you. Any sort of drivers that sort of catch your eye in this standing sheet right here, Nathan?
Well, there's quite a few, to be fair. You're looking through the grid at drivers who I thought would get more points. You got the likes of Leo Lund only on 6 points. So, it's quite surprising to see him. Then in 20th, Nico Benz as well up in 11th, only on 13 points. 12 of those coming up from round 1 in Australia. Surprising to see him so far down. Then we got Joost Noordijk also. He was, I think, 4th last season. He's 13th now. So there's many drivers that I don't think are in the places where they deserve to be. It is quite a shame to see, but then again, this season has been thrown up in the air a little bit. Apart from, I'd say, Mirko, everyone else has just kind of been feeding in different positions every single race, which I think you've seen with the likes of Tycho Hardy and Campbell Statra haven't exactly got the best results all throughout the season, but they kept it consistent, and hence why they're sitting 4th and 5th in the standings. But tonight it's Portugal. I think a lot about this track is down to strategy and qualifying, because the strategy around here, you're looking at soft to medium, medium to soft. If you take hard, you're most likely not going to make that work at all, unless you are Jono Opmeer pace. And then when it comes to sorts of qualifying, it's quite difficult because this track itself, it's not an easy one to navigate. You got some hard corners such as Samsung at turn number 8, which is an uphill right-hander. Then you've got yet again turn 10 and turn 11, where you've got to kind of miss the apex on the first one and then get it on the second one to go down a bit of a hill. And of course, you've got turn number 3 at Lagos, yet again a very difficult corner, very difficult to get into the braking zone. So it's certainly, Sappy, not an easy track at all. I think it on paper, it looks simple, but when you drive it, it's a very, very hard track to get perfectly right.
Yeah, and if anything, it's deceptive, like you say, in just some of the corners, because you dip uphill, you dip downhill. There are some corners that are suspiciously off camber, so you have to keep an eye on your downforce levels, you have to keep an eye on your tyres, making sure that you are fully gripped up to the road. You can go over a crest, so like turn 9, Craig Jones, deceptively difficult turn to get right. If you're full push,
Yeah.
it's very easy to overextend, go into the grass, go into the runoff. And the same can be said for a lot of corners, but it's a 15-corner roller coaster, 2.9 miles, 4.6 kilometers. And as you say, I think a lot of this track is made or broken on the strategy and on the qualifying. This track can be a little bit punishing on one side of the car, but you play your cards right, you manage your tires, you manage your strategy, you will get a lot of success out of this circuit.
Yeah, of course. I think tonight could be very interesting, and it's a night that people like Lenny and Reese really need to make, a capitalisation of not let Mirko run away. If Mirko wins again, the chances of them catching up by the end of the season is going to be quite unlikely. But then again, we look back at the season before last, I think it was season 34, Mirko Soriano was leading the championship by around 20 points, halfway through the season. Then all of a sudden, he dropped back completely, ended up finishing second in the championship at the end, when at one point you're thinking Mirko's got this in the bag. So he's got to hope he doesn't have that kind of mid-season kind of drop-off, which he did beforehand. And if he can keep it consistency all the way through, I can't see anyone beating him whatsoever. And I've just noticed that Reese Linton and Lenny Pepinta both lagging out at the session, so I'm hoping there's no desync or lag issues, because that wouldn't be ideal, especially considering Lenny and Reese are sitting for second and third in the championship.
Yeah, we're going to hope that the game plays ball, the game plays fair. It's looking a little bit overclassed. We'll go looking around the track. We'll hopefully see things clear up for those who are having a bit of technical difficulties. But we're going to go trackside in just a second. But who have you got your eye on this qualifying, Nathan?
Oh, it's hard because, we've seen every session, every qualifying, different people come out on top. But I think tonight, I'm kind of looking at Joost Noordijk, because we saw him back in Canada. I believe he took pole position, or he was around that top three. Binned it on in the race and, dropped down to around 9th position. So I'm keen to see what he could do here in qualifying, and hopefully kind of rectify that mistake he made back in Canada and, show us what he can do, and of course put it back onto pole position. But I'm also looking at Louis Welch, a driver we haven't seen that much this season. We've seen him a little bit over in PSGL series, but he has had the potential before to get pole. He has had the the potential to get victories. So I'm keen to see what he could do here tonight. I'm hoping that we can get himself in around that top 5 or top 10. But then after that, it's just anyone can take pole here, I think, in this series. Lots of Rishan coming in as a reserve here in Aston Martin. I'm keen to see what he can do. I think we've also got another couple of reserves in. Phil McKee is reserve, and I think there's a couple more, isn't there, Sappy?
Yeah, got a couple more reserves joining the field. But we're on board with Kai Pearson, at least for the time being. First driver out on the track and furthest ahead of the queue. He jumped out basically as soon as he could in the session. And with 16 minutes, you're going to see drivers just try and get that early lap out as soon as possible.
Sappy, I have some news for you and for the chat. I've been informed in DMs that it's going to be raining after 30 minutes in the race.
It is true. I can see that on my telemetry field. So that is to be... That is going to be wild. I wonder now, this is going to completely change the game when it comes to qualifying. Are we going to see drivers go for a wet setup and try and play it a bit safer, but of course compromise the quali? Or are they going to go full bore, full dry, try and get the gains out, and then deal with a more skittish car in the race?
Well, I think, first of all, we might most likely have a restart. So, I don't think they'll risk it that much by going with a wet setup. But also, there's only 15 minutes of rain at the end, so I don't think they'd really compromise that first half of the whole race just to get an advantage at the end. But we can see now a few laps getting underway here. As we can see, Joris, unfortunately, leave the session. Hopefully, he can get himself back in just in time. But Kai Pearson here, part of the AlphaTauri team, also part of Race Clutch, of course, here on his lap as he heads his way through, up in towards Samsung at turn number 8, just getting the car nicely up the hill and then getting back down the hill for turn number 9. And then you'll come down towards turns 10 and 11. Yet again, another big drop as you head down towards turn number 12. Looking good so far here from Kai. Bit of a slide, though, on the rear as he heads through that corner now in towards turn number 12 and 13. We'll see what Kai can do on this opening lap. We do have a couple of people, I think, just starting a lap, and I think Kai might be the first or the second one to finish his lap here. You can see him just exiting the final couple of corners now in towards Galp at turn number 15. We'll see what Kai Pearson can do as Reese Linton there is beginning his lap. What can Kai do as he heads up towards the line? First lap of the session, a 1 minute 15.402 there, Sappy.
Yeah, you're going to see a couple more cars coming through now in just a second. You've got one of the McLaren's heading into the pits suspiciously. He's going to yield from his run here. Derbicourt is going to be coming up. He's going to jump his teammate by half a tenth of a second. A 0.344. He's going to sit top of the sheets. Next up is going to be one of the Hasses. It's going to be Klaffenbach. He's going to go even further. 0.270. That's another half of a tenth. Almost a full tenth. Shimilakomsky going to be a 399. It's going to be 3 milliseconds clear of Pearson. As you're going to see more cars coming through now. Sabrino into the pits. Oh no, that was a camera bug on my part. Sabrino enters into P5. Derbicourt and Klaffenbach lead the front for so far, but a couple more cars are going to be coming through any second now. Like Louis Welch, host of the lobby, Sim Racing Centre driver, and one that has certainly proven his worth, tested his mettle, but he's going to be heading into the pits as well.
Yeah, and there we are, our championship leader, Mirko Soriano, only managing 10th there with a 15.5. That's a good 2 and a little bit tenths there, back off Julian Klaffenbach's time. So not looking so strong here from Mirko Soriano, as Reese Linton tops the timings there with a 1:15.224 there, just half a tenth clear of Julian Klaffenbach. What can then Pepin to do? He goes only into P12 there. A disappointing lap there for the Alpine driver, second in the championship, along with Mirko in P11. That is the last place that those two want to be there, as I think it was Max Cross popping himself up into P8 as well in the Sabre car. A few more cars on 8 laps now. Daniel, Joost, Tycho, all heading out to circuit now, and likes of Louis Welch, Joris, and Liam and Leo not getting those first laps in, so a big shame for them not ready to get a lap on the board. And Tata says that Joris couldn't join yet, so hopefully Joris can get himself in nice and early. If he needs an invite, I can pop him one over. I believe I have him on Steam, so if there's still an issue, just let me know in the chat and I can try and send a quick invite over.
Everyone's trying to queue up now and just get a little bit of space to themselves. You can see those first runners are now heading back into the pit, trying to get a little bit of a gauge on where they went well, where they went wrong, and see what they can improve on. Shimilakomsky has the best Sector 1 time with a 21.496, followed by Klaffenbach owning Sector 2, 28.982, and then, curiously, the best Sector 3 time doesn't go to anyone at the top. It goes to Daniel Koya, 21 flat. But maybe a little bit of a timing bug on my end. So I think, more accurately, it's going to be Reese Linton who owns that third sector. I'm going to say, 21 Sector 3. I sort of did a bit of a double take as I read that. I think the telemetry tool's having a bit of a day.
Yeah, well, it's certainly interesting. And I've just realised that my sunglasses cursed the lobby because it's overcast and it will rain. So yeah, so maybe the sunglasses wasn't the right idea, because many drivers will be angry that it's not sunny skies and blue skies here in Portimao. But we have another lap getting underway here with Joost Noordijk heading down into turn number 3. Pole sitter back in Canada, very strong here in qualifying generally, so it shouldn't be a surprise to see him heading up towards that top 5, or maybe looking to challenge his teammate for second place as he heads down towards turn number 5 now at Torre Vip. You can see there 21, I think 21.4 there for the first sector here for Joost Noordijk. So looking good so far as he heads through in towards turn 7 and turn number 8 at that uphill right-hander. Very horrible corner, isn't it, Sappy? But on last game, it was even worse, wasn't it?
Absolutely gnarly corner. I mean, it is such a delicate balance to try and get right. So many of these corners on the track. See, coming through Craig Jones now, riding the dip. Curiously, I always have been very interested to see how drivers handle their setups for a track like Portimao. There's so much undulation. You're going downhill, then you're going uphill, then you're going over crests and sudden compression of the car. So you have to factor that in with things like your springs, your ride height, even down to the camber, because your suspension is going to change geometry as you go around this course. But here we go. Down Galp, looking like a very clean run here from Joost Noordijk. Is he going to break into the 0.2s? He's going to go into the 0.1s. 0.199. Joost Noordijk takes pole for now.
Yeah, brilliant lap there from Joost Noordijk. We can see Daniel Kjelsen head back into the pit lane, or no, he'll continue even though he didn't set that lap due to an invalidation. We'll see now what can. I believe that was in the Alpha Terry's out on circuit. I believe starting a lap. Yeah, that's Kai Pearson. What can Liam Stevens do? Can he go to the top? The 15.4 pops him in 11th place. What about Leo Lund heading through in towards the final few corners himself? A very strong driver in qualifying. Hasn't really had the points to show for it though so far this season. So hopefully for him, he can get himself up into that top echelon of qualifying as he heads through in towards the final couple of corners now. What can Leo Lund manage on the board? His teammate in P11 on a 15.4. Leo goes up into P12 there on a 15.4, only 7,000ths separating the two there in the Red Bulls. Quite surprised to see Leo so far then. And as I saw, was that someone else going a little bit higher in qualifying? I saw someone's name pop up there.
That's Louis Welch going into P4. think we lost you there for a second, mate. I think your mic has gone. But we've got Yeltsin, who is going to be coming through, remaining committed to the lap here. He's going to go through the final few corners, say turn 13. Sagras now coming up. Traffic going out of the way for him, making sure he's staying out of trouble. But he's expended all his resource a bit too early. He's going to yield. He's going to yield. Yeltsin is not making a run this lap.
Yeah, we'll see here what Kai Pearson can do, though, coming through the final corner in the AlphaTauri. Can he try and get himself any higher than P7? No, he heads back into the pit lane there, so that's all done and dusted here for Kai Pearson. A few more cars coming through, of course. He got Julian Klaffenbach, I think, getting ready to start another lap. What about Theo McKee? We'll see what he can do. Currently down in P17 on a 1 minute 15.779. He's just heading through into turn number 13 and 14. Then Galp, of course, at the final corner here on this circuit. We'll see what he can do here in qualifying. Can he get himself any higher than P17 as he heads his way up towards the line here? And the Aston Martin goes up into P6 there for Theo McKee. A brilliant lap there from the young Irishman. We can see a few more cars coming through here. Max Grospoitin heading through in towards turn number 8 himself, up by a 10.5 in that first sector. So Sappy, this lap here for Max, looking quite decent so far.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good. He's linking it up quite nicely. Theon with his last lap, he got the best sector one time, all of that. And the new best sector 3 now goes to Louis Welch, 24.5. So excellent driving from a lot of the cars here. Grosspointer, he's going to come up to the final few corners. He's going to make sure he's out of traffic, and the traffic being good sports, making sure they stay out of the way. You don't want to be messing up anyone's hot lap. But here you go. Grosspointer through Galp, keeping it tight to the inside. Big push as he comes up to the line here. What's it going to be? It's a 0.223. Excellent lap from him here. Pips Linton by a single millisecond. He's in P2.
Yep, brilliant lap there indeed from Max Grospoitin. Still looking to see some cars coming through up towards the line. We got Rishon Jacobs there up by half a tenth in that first sector. Mirko Soriano here. He's just heading through towards turn 3 and 4. We'll go on board here with the Ferrari, our championship leader here in this series so far this season. Currently down in P16 there, and only up by 75 thousandths of a whole second there in that first sector. So still not looking too strong here is Mirko Soriano. I did see a message on Twitter earlier saying that he's going to end his podium streak here tonight, so that's obviously suggesting he's not looking too strong at this circuit of Portimao. We'll see what he can do, though, on this run. Heading down now into turn number 9, and then back up a hill into turns 10 and 11. And Shimon Lekomsky goes to the top there with a 15.170, so a brilliant lap time there from the Williams driver. But we'll keep aboard here with Mirko as he heads through into the final few corners. That was Reese Linton, I think, there, popping to the line. No, it was only Papinta there, going into P5. We'll see what Reese Linton can do. He goes up into P2 there, 6 thousandths, separating him and Lekomsky. What can the Mercedes do? That would have been Joris Kroes and goes up into P15. But let's see, Sappy, what Mirko can do.
Yeah, he did say the podium streak is going to end. It's going to be P7 for our championship leader. I know he did speak of the second half of the calendar, and in particular, not being the most confident. So he's had a really good early run, and he's very proud of that, deservedly so. But I know that he did also say that the second half of the calendar, he's going to see things potentially slow down a little bit.
Yep. Indeed, as we can see there, Daniel Kjelsen and Tycho Harding out on an out lap, and Daniel doesn't say that, just beginning his lap as he heads down towards turn number 1. We'll see here what Daniel can do on his opening run. Normally a driver we see a lot higher than this in qualifying, and normally gets himself a lap in quite early, so quite a surprise here to see Daniel make those mistakes in the first part of qualifying and through that middle stages. There's only 5 minutes left to go here in this session, so we'll see what Daniel can do in that first sector. A 21.5, a decent opening sector there, but about a 10.5 down on what many others have done so far. So, you know, in comparison to many others, it's not the best. But we'll see what he can do in this second and third part of the lap. Sector 2 is normally where you gain the most time here through turn number 8 and 9, 10 and 11. So we'll see what he can do at the moment. As he heads over the hill, you can see him just pop over as he heads back down the hill before heading back up once again in towards a bit of a roller coaster section. I don't think they should call turn 10 Portimao. I think they should call it the roller coaster.
Yeah, I find it always curious when a track has a corner named after itself. I guess it's the titular corner of the circuit. I can't argue too much with that logic, but you've got plenty of names to choose from, guys. The Portuguese language is an amazing one. It's got all these different mixes of cultures, so surely you can think of something different. But you're going to see Kjelsen coming up through the final corner here. It doesn't invalidate despite going extremely narrow. He's going to get a 15.3 flat. He's going to join his teammate, and Klaffenbach is going to go one better. He's going to go 0.144, really making use of that track evolution as we're in the final 5 minutes of qualifying here. He is going to be pushing himself right to the cutting edge of the timing boards and into pole, but there is still time. Other drivers are still going to be looking for a piece of the pie.
Well, we saw many improvements there as well from Joost Noordijk there, popping himself just a 1,000th back from Lekomsky. We saw Kyle Pearson there just go a little bit further back from Reese Linton. If you look at the gap there, Sappy, first down to around 8th position, well, first down towards 10th. He's only 10th and a half gap, so very close here in qualifying so far between those first down towards 10th position being Daniel Kjelser. So we'll see what the drivers could do on their final couple of runs here. We've got Liam Stevens invalidated on his run. What about Daniel Kaya? He's down by 8 seconds, so he's not on a run here. And Mercedes, yet again, Mercedes just not looking strong at all, are they?
Yeah, they're not really finding the pace. They're not really sort of finding much in the way of room, I think. Whether that is sort of pit strategy or in the race or just elsewhere. They seem to struggle a little bit and have struggled for the past few races now. They just haven't been able to connect the car in the same way a lot of these other drivers have. We've got Louis Welch coming up here, and I think he is going to be peeling into the pits because his battery is thoroughly spent, and there you go. He's into the pits, making only driver out on track right now, Fionn McKee.
Yeah, Phil going out quite early compared to many others, so we'll see what Fionn can do on this final run here. Obviously, down in P12 at the moment, and you say that he's only 2/10 off pole, and that's P12. So this grid is very, very close here tonight in Portimao. So Fionn, still a lot left on the table here for him on this next one. Hopefully, can get himself a little bit higher here in the grid. Obviously, reserve hasn't been here every race at all, so he should be looking to get a little bit higher on this grid. Szymon Lekomsky as well, going out onto the circuit quite early, so we'll see if he can try and take pole away from the R8G driver of Julian Klaffenbach, but also Noordijk not that far behind.
This final lap, though, is a dangerous game because you go out too early, you're going to come out right in the traffic trying to burn fuel and make sure their final times are as peak as they can be. So McKee putting him in a little of a precarious position, but I'm curious to see how he's going to make it work. You are right about the grid spread and being so ridiculously tight. I'm just looking at some of the gaps here. You've got, for instance, the gap between Holdham and Koya, 6 milliseconds. Gap between Stevens and Holdham, 8 milliseconds. 5 milliseconds between McKee and Derbacourt. And then a single thousandth of a second splits Lekomsky and Noordijk. The front row is literally being decided by the blink of an eye.
Yeah. It's so close at the moment, and it just shows that any of them here can take pole position. But we can see what Fionn McKee can do. Can he try and take pole position here in the Aston Martin? His teammate Richard Jacobs down in P17, so a lot of work is needed here by both of these two to try and make this qualifying mean something here tonight as he heads in to turn number one, the last time here for Fionn McKee in qualifying, and he's already invalidated, so that is it here for Fionn McKee unless he can go around again. I can't see how long we've got left due to my due to the yellow flags.
1 minute
Sadly,
and 10 seconds. We've got 1 minute and 10 seconds. He can just about make it, but he's going to have to play the battery so carefully. He really is on a tightrope here. He might be able to make it with just a couple of seconds to go, but it is going to be extremely close.
Yeah, the issue he's got is look at all those cars down at turn number 12 and 13. He's got to hope he doesn't catch up to those guys because, they're crawling through that section of the circuit here. We can see the Ferrari at the back being Mirko Soriano. Just watching them all ahead move around and nearly hit each other at some point. So I'm just on board here with Derbacourt, luckily getting himself away from some of that traffic. But Fionn's going to get caught up here, isn't he? Completely caught up. This isn't good here for McKee.
Yeah, it's not looking good at all. Lekomsky is going to be the next driver to be on a main lap here. 21.6 per sector. A little bit behind what he should be because his peak is a 21.496. So he can do better. He knows he can do better. But let's see if he can hook it up in sector 2. He's going to be coming into turn 9. And he's going to be looking a little bit skittish. We saw him slide a little bit coming out of, I believe it was turn 4. So let's see if he can link it up here. The checkered flag has fallen. McKee has retired. McKee is not going to be posting a time. He is going to be 12th at best. We can see a few more drivers start to come up to the line here. Here's Lekomsky remaining committed. You can see he's still going full push. He's going to give it a send anyway. 0.170, 0.144 to beat, 0.126 for the Williams. Despite odds in the first sector, he's made it work.
Yep, indeed, we can see Tiger Hardy there into P6 to 2. Sabres coming through, Max into P8 and Bradley into P5. Actually, no, Max hasn't completed his lap. He goes into P5. Look at the gaps here, Sappy.
Gaps are absolutely minuscule here. Reese Linton coming up to the line now, 0.125, single millisecond. He pips pole position. He's going to be the next one to take a stab at it. Kai Pearson has invalidated. He's not going to be making an improvement. Derbycourt now into P6. You got the McLaren of Daniel Coyer coming up to the line, but he's invalidated as well. He is not going to be walking away with any better time, but it's Nordyke. 0.036, dangerously close to the 114s. As you see, the rest of the field, Klappenbog, a 0.019, making it a Haas 1-2. And can Soriano make an improvement on his? No, he is fully out of it. He is dipped out of his run entirely, with Sabrino making a last-minute crossing of the line with a 1:50. The Hasses, out of nowhere, well, I say out of nowhere, they were already in a high spot, but they have completely come in and smashed it. 0.0s for the 2.
Wow, brilliant there. Absolutely brilliant from the two cars, the two drivers in the Haas car. And it's Julian Klappenbach's second pole of the season here, and his teammates on the front row for the second time this season. 17 thousandths separates those two. But then the gaps below, look at those gaps. We've got Linton down to Tiger Hardy, all within the same 1/10 of a whole second. It's Linton ahead of Lekopsky, ahead of Grosspointner. Then we've got Derbycourt, Welch, Holden, Pearson, and Tiger Hardy rounded at the top 10. And then we've got Joris Krozen in P11, only 2/10 off the pole time, followed by Lenny Papinta, Richard Jacobs in 13th, our championship leader in 14th position being Mirko Soriano. Then we have Daniel Kielsen in P15, Theo McKee in 16th position, followed by Liam Stevens in 17th, Daniel Coyer in 18th, Sergio Sabrino 19th, and Leo Lund down in 20th position. That's not good for Red Bull.
It's not looking good for Red Bull at all, honestly. It's a tough state of affairs when you're in a situation like
penalties.
that. And then you've got the race restart because of illegal blocking coming up. We did have.
Did we get a penalty?
Yeah, we did. We did have a penalty, so we are going to be having a race restart, folks. We're going to take a quick second to show a bit of love to some of the people who support us. So be sure to stick around. We'll be back with you in just a moment. Hello, folks, and welcome back. Of course, support the people who support us, lovely people at GT Omega. Use code PSGL for a healthy discount, and also Sim Racing Centre, another recent sponsor. Be sure to jump on there, code PSGL will get you a discount there too. But what a qualifying end. Can we just talk about that for a second? Absolutely amazing stuff. From the Hasses, 0.019 and a 0.36. Insane stuff. You've still got the Alpines really sort of putting in the work. Reese Linton, for instance, making it a P3, pipping the Williams by just a single millisecond. But just the Hasses. We can talk about the Salvos, we can talk about the Red Bulls and the Williams, all we like, but the Hasses. Jeez. Where do you even begin?
Yeah, brilliant.
Formidable team.
The grid is so close. And then for those guys to take pole by over a tenth is magnificent. It was 3/10 separating the top 17. Haas made first and second a tenth clear of third and below. So brilliant there from Julian and Jost. And now they need to work together, but more importantly, get the strategy right. That is the key thing here now for them. Qualifying's done. Calm down about quali. The strategy is the thing you need to get correctly. I was in a social race last night for a different league, and we saw both softs and mediums being used. Both of them had advantages. Both of them had disadvantages, and in the end, it was a Williams driver who won because, well, at the start, they broke away. All the mediums were fighting behind and losing DRS, so that's why you could just pull away and win by 6 seconds. But if we ignored that aside, any of those could win it on their different tyres. It's just about how you use the tyres, how you make those moves in the key parts of the races, the start and near the end. That is going to win it. It's going to be a very close race, of course. So Julian and Joost need to get it correct. So we'll see what they can do.
Yeah, we'll see what they can do. I think that's the moral of the story, is that qualifying is a statement. but they have to connect it in the race, and that is the biggest thing. Although, crunching a little bit of numbers, I love me my numbers, the theoretical best time, which was taken from all of the best sectors, all the best possible runs, was a 14.976. And then you had Klaffenbach, who put in that 0.19. The only place that they lost some time was in Sector 1. They had a perfect Sector 2 and a perfect Sector 3, and then they were just 42 milliseconds off the best sector time, who actually, I think, was Sergio Sabarino in the end, for one of the Mercedes. So they have got the pace. I know that we were talking about them, and they seem to have been struggling a little bit, but they do have the pace, and that's probably the toughest thing, is that you look at the drivers, you look at something like the standings, which we'll quickly jump back to as we look to see where the stakes are laid in this point in the season. But yeah, you look at the pace that is on display from some of these drivers, you know they can do it, but the competition is just so fierce this season. Yeah,
it is. You know, you look at the points on there and you can see a big, spread of points across the whole field, but every single one of those 20 drivers in the standings, bar Dylan Warren, deserve to be in F2. Dylan needs to be in F1. He should be in F2. I don't know why they let him out in the first place. I'm saying that because I can see him in the chat there. So the 19 on those top 20 should be in this tier. They all deserve it, but it's just the unluckiness that's getting to the likes of Sergio and Leo, and they can't really force their way up. And it is a big shame to see that they aren't scoring those big points, which they've shown in practice, they've shown in other leagues. For example, Joris Kroos, and I know you as well, Sappy, over in WR, commentate over him quite regularly. I did the same last season. It's not even the same driver, is it, here in PSGL? I don't know why, but he's nowhere near what he's like in WR. And I say it every week because it's such a bizarre thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a weird turnaround. I mean, you can put it down to a lot of factors. You can put it down to the level of competition. You can put it down to just the comfort on a track-to-track basis. Maybe even just the level of practice. Like, might be committing certain levels of practice to one and not the other. Like, it can completely contrast, and even just down to how you're feeling that day. Like, for all we know, Leo might just not be a Thursday person. It can literally be as simple as that. And I mean, from my experience, I have literally said to people at times, is I will happily race, but please do not make it on a Wednesday. I do not want to race on a Wednesday. And why? Because I don't like to race on a Wednesday. And it may seem very asinine, but it can just be as simple as that. Like, all manner of factors can mix in. And of course, while these guys are some of the best of the best, it is very much like a mix of a lot of different things. That's why you see variation performances. You have good days and bad days.
Yeah, well, I feel like you just gave all the bad drivers, well, not bad, sorry, no, all the low-performing drivers in this tier an excuse to say, yeah, well, I don't like Thursdays, that's why I'm not good. And I know Leo will use that excuse every single week now. He'll tell it to me every single time. So thank you, Sappy, for giving him the perfect excuse to not be at the top.
You are welcome.
In the shadows there. So Carlson's also going to have the same thing going into his ear every single Thursday for PSGL. But yeah, you never know what's going to happen. We got, 33 laps of this circuit. It's a long track. It's a long race here tonight. So the likes of Leo, who's a little bit further down, Sergio joining him on the back row, they've got a lot of work to do. So for them, maybe they could try something a bit different here.
Yeah, they could potentially try something a little bit different. And I know we were talking a bit about prior to the race. Strategy is probably the bigger concern for a lot of these cars, because you can maybe have a little bit of a wobble in quali, but the big thing is going to be how they manage the race. And a good starting position can only get you so far, especially on somewhere like Portimao.
Yeah, definitely. And I can see in the chat there, I believe that will be Josh saying that he can confirm F3 is a banger, because I said that I think this race will be very boring and I won't enjoy it. So they're going to hold me up to that now, because I feel like I've said that, and they're going to hope, well, that will have a good race, which is definitely possible, isn't it, Sappy? And I think there's only one way to make a race interesting, and that is there's two things that can make a race interesting: penalties and safety cars.
Well, not too many safety cars and penalties, because then it gets a little bit ridiculous. We don't want we don't want a situation where we use up the entire safety car budget. But I don't want to see that. But a well-timed safety car can completely invert the dynamics of a race. Drivers can have really good strategies that they planned out that have all of a sudden just fallen completely away. You can have drivers that get given basically a life raft. Let's say they had a really bad start, they picked up some damage. It's a life raft for some drivers, but an absolute killer for others. Like, I know for a fact, if you're standing there 5-6 seconds ahead of the competition and a safety car comes out, you're gonna be fuming, absolutely fuming. There's no two ways about it.
Of course, and I'm just looking in the chat there, and Dylan says, if it's wet, you'll fall asleep. Well, Dylan, from what we know, 30 minutes in, there's going to be rain dropping onto the circuit. Now, how heavy, I don't know. Sappy, do you know the intensity of the rain at 30 minutes?
I wasn't able to really tell, so I get a bit of a minimized overview, but until you get into the actual race session itself, the graphic is just there. There's no percentages or anything like that. What I do know is that we do have overcast, pretty low track temperatures, despite it being, being Portugal. Usually expect pretty high ambience, but it's fairly low in the 20s. And then a pretty much guaranteed chance of rain after 30 minutes. But the stats can sometimes be wrong. We want to emphasize that. It's percentile chance. It is not guaranteed that drivers will experience rain in that time. But simultaneously, it is a pretty good indicator, and the race engineers of the world tend to treat things like team telemetry like their own Bible.
Have you found your way into the session just yet?
It doesn't seem to be letting me in, unfortunately. I keep getting an error. So, unfortunately, apologies for the technical issues, folks. I'm just having a brief issue with getting connected.
Let me know when we're on. Right, everyone, we are back. We've had to do a bit of something different. We've had to share my screen for the time being, because Sappy unfortunately can't find his way into the session. He's going to mute and try and sort every issue he can in the background and try and get his way in. So I'll kind of ball it from here for now. And well, we've had a bit of a late get back in. We've got everyone sorting themselves out, getting the strategies sorted. They're, talking with their engineers, getting everything sorted that they need to ready for this 33-lap race here around Portimao. As we know, it's meant to rain after 30 minutes. So that means make sure to expect the rain to come. And we can see now the 5 lights heading up onto the board. It's going to be Julian on pole, and it will be Joost in second place. We've got 5 lights here in Portimao, and they're away down towards turn number 1 here. We'll look at the tyres as well as they head down towards turn number 1, soft for the top 3, and mediums for 4th and 5th. And it's still going to be Julian who keeps the lead into turn number 1 there. We've got Lekopsky looking to make a move ahead of Linton there. We've got Lillian Debacle already ahead of Louis Welch, and further back we've got an incident that will be Lenny Pepintra and Leo Lund get into contact, I believe, and Lenny second in the championship. That is the last thing he needs here in this race. And we can see, though, further ahead here, Louis Welch looking to close in here and make a move possibly on Lillian, as Lillian looks to make a move here ahead of Lekomsky into turn 5, and Lillian does get the move done. Bit of contact on the exit of the corner. Bradley Holden there fighting with his teammate Mats Grossputtner as they head through in towards turn 7 and turn number 8. We can see behind them looks at Tycho Hardy and Daniel Kjellson looking to make moves here, and surprisingly Mirko Soriano hasn't got anywhere off the line, still down in P14. Sappy, have you found your way back in yet?
I am here, but I was still encountering a lot of technical issues on the background. It's looking like an absolutely wild race starting to kick off here. You got coming to blows with Lekomsky and Welch, but also Pearson alongside. Pearson is going to go very wide in the end. He's going to yield both to Grosspointer and Welch in all of that contact, and the Williams currently make it P5 and 6. Looking around the rest of the field, you've got a little bit of battles further back, so curiously, our championship leader, Suriano, he's all the way down in P16. He is not looking too healthy for himself whatsoever. He's gone straight into the pit, so I'm not sure what's happened. Has he sustained some kind of damage? All we know, our championship leader's in trouble.
Yeah, big shame here for Mirko Suriano, our championship leader, into the pit lane after only one lap here in Portimao. Big scenes here so far in this race. We can see, of course, here Max Grosspointner arguing here with Daniel Kjelton for P8 and P9. Daniel looks stronger here on the softer compounded tyre. Should make that move easily. Then into turn number 5, we can see ahead as well. Kai Pearson there looking to make a move ahead of Louis Welch. Does get the move done on the exit. They fight side by side. And I think Louis just about keeps ahead of the AlphaTauri. We can still see Daniel here looking to fight around the outside at turn number 8 ahead of Max. Goes all the way around the outside at Samsung up the hill. Can he get the move done? No, he gets pushed wide onto the gravel. For a second goes Daniel Kjelton, and now brings Bradley Holden back into this battle here into turn 10 and 11. Misses their first apex, then wanted to go for the second apex, and still Bradley just couldn't find the move done there ahead of the Ferrari. We can see further ahead yet again Kai Pearson looking to close in here on the back of Louis Welch, and Simon Lekomsky here has lost that 1 second gap to the top 4, being Julian, Joost, Reese and Lillian. So they need to try and get themselves back within a second, or this race for the mediums down below could be in a little bit of a dire situation so far. As we can see, Kjelson here looking to close in onto the back of Grosspointner, and we can see fastest laps flying through the grid so far. As we can see, the two Williams is replacing each other. Lekomsky now going to be overtaken by Louis Welch as they head down to turn number 1 here.
Yep, and unfortunately for the likes of Lekomsky and Welch, they are going to be out of that crucial DRS gap, which, roller coaster as it may be, still 2 DRS zones, still have a very big impact on your race and how you're going to be able to keep up with the rest of the field. So we're going to see that very much come to fruition. The two Hasses are sort of keeping contention, but you're going to see that's Daniel Kjelton. He's going to fire it all the way down. Torre Vip, he's going to get a pretty substantial move done there on the Saubers.
Yeah, brilliant move there from Kjelson, but now he's got a 1 second gap to Kai Pearson, so he needs to try and close that in. He does close it in as they head out to turn number 8 now, following each other through towards turn number 9. And no, I've had a... Oh, there we are. So I need to get you into the session then. I thought for a second my game was broken.
This is my Hail Mary. I'm going to try and get in with any method that I can.
Right, let's try that. Sorry about this, guys. It isn't the most ideal scenario whatsoever here. We'll try and send an invite to Sappy. If you can find him somewhere on the list. There he is. Sappy, try that, my friend. See if you can get yourself in. Oh. Oh, no.
Oh, looks like we have had a big old technical issue here, folks. The game has just decided to completely seize up on the both of us. So we are having we're having a great time. We're having a great day, and we'll be right back with you shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, after much issue, we are proud to say that we are back in game. We managed to get things resolved. Thank you for your patience is all we can really say. We jump in back to the track side and we can see a little bit of action has started to develop. It is remaining overcast. It is going to be a Haas 1-2 remaining after Reese Linton has closed the gap and briefly tried to make a challenge. Klaffenbach is now in P2. Linton is just a few tenths behind. And then around the field, we can see Jeltsin currently remains P8. Grosspointer has got a penalty for a track limits infraction. So he is going to be already stuck with 3 seconds. And then let's look at the tyre strategy. We can see that Liam Stevens pitted in at one point, and he is going to be down in P19, but with those 3-lap mediums. He has got some strategy opportunities here, but let's see how the field starts to develop. Nathan, we're back. It's good to be here.
Yes, finally, we're back into the session and we can get underway with some racing. And we can see here the top 4 still looking to come to battle here as they head into turn number 1 here. Lillian Debacore looking to make moves ahead of Reese Linton here. It's an R8 G1-2. It's a race clutch 3-4 here tonight so far in PSGL PCF2. We can see further back, of course, as well. Lekomsky looking to close in here on the back of that top 4 train and bring the likes of Louis Welch, Kai Pearson, Daniel, and all those down to P17 with him to try and get themselves back into that main train and try and fight for the victory here tonight in F2. We can see further back there someone going wide. I believe that might have been Kai Pearson on the exit of turn 5 there. Tory Vip, of course, down at that hairpin looking to try and close in and make moves here. Kai Pearson just looking to get closer and closer now to the back of Louis Welch. We can see further back as well the two Sabres of Max and Bradley looking to also close in here and make moves. What just the issue is for them, Max has got a penalty. That's not ideal at all, considering how close the grid is. And, well, after what I saw last night in EOR, I'm quite surprised there's only 1 penalty here on the board.
Yeah, the only penalty on the board so far, but I don't doubt it'll be the last, especially when you're considering Galp. That last corner is so easy to invalidate. I think it was one of the hot spots for invalidations on the quali at least, but we shouldn't see drivers be extending that deep into the track limits like we've seen in sessions past. Thing is, with the Williams now, they can both work together. They're both on the same tyre compound. Pearson is stuck behind them on the softs. So as you can see them trading together under the DRS, they have a really good opportunity to mess up the likes of Pearson and Jeltsin, both on the softer compound where they can't extract the speed, and that is going to really impact their final result.
Yes, it will indeed. We can see Kelson looking to gain in here and make a move on Kai Pearson, but they can't do anything. They're stuck in a train. And no one can make passes on each other. No one can gain in enough to make a move on anyone at all on this grid so far. We saw for a second there, Grosspointner getting close to the back of Kjelsen coming through into turn number 5. But yet again, nothing could be done there. Close, but no cigar for Max Grosspointner there in P9. Looking to get ahead of the soft runners. So we can see yet again at the front, it's still Nordyke who leads ahead of Julian Klaffenbach, Reese Linton and Lillian Debacore. Being at the top 4 here tonight, 2.7 seconds separates 4th and 5th position. That gap going up every single lap now between Lillian and Louis. So lots of work needs to be done by Louis to try and close that gap back down once again here. As we can see as well, Bradley Holdham there close to the back of his teammate. Grosspointner as they head through in towards turn number 13 and number 14. But Liam Stevens and Mirko obviously having those mistakes at the start have now dropped them to 19th and 20th and being, 30 seconds off the train.
Yeah, quite a gap that you're going to have to make up, and certainly an unfortunate turn of events for the both of them. They're not going to be happy with this result whatsoever, but you can see drivers going 2, even potentially 3, as Lekomsky is going to dip out of the slipstream of Welch, but he's not going to go past, curiously. I would have thought to have seen, they trade places like they did the last lap, but it seems like Welch is very intent on trying to close the gap, though fruitless it seems, because he's now 2.9 seconds behind. If I was Welch, I would honestly just try to focus on my race, put on the best running that I can, and see where I land up, because unless the front runners make a mistake, they are not going to be coming out anywhere anytime soon. We see a bit of trading happening at the lower ends of the field, as both Mercedes and the Aston of Rishan are going to have a little bit of a tussle.
Yeah, brilliant move there from Richard Jacobs. Got ahead of Joris and then sent it on Sabrino into turn 5. Brilliant there from the Aston Martin, getting 2 moves done into one corner on the same team there. Into P12 goes Richard Jacobs now, looking closer to getting some points here tonight. That took me by quite a surprise for a second. I thought realistically he broke later, but no, I think that broke later on, too deep. But I think that was actually the plan to break too deep and get himself past Sabrino as well. He's going to be now looking to catch up onto the rear of Tycho Hardy for P11 here. In this race, we can see Bradley Holdham in P10 there, looking to close in on the back of Max once again for P9. We can see further ahead, of course, Lillian Debacore getting closer to the rear of Reece Linton and the two teammates in the Hassies also getting very close together. Lukomsky looking to make a move here on Louis Welch, possibly into turn 3. No, backs off, but Louis goes deep now. Lukomsky pulls alongside into turn 3. Into turn 4, they go up the hill. Lukomsky gets a better exit, but I think he still wants to sit behind and keep that DRS here, Sappy.
Yeah, I think he wants to yield a bit. I think his game here is to try and conserve his resources. Or going a little bit deep, though, Torre Vip. That's going to give an opportunity to Pearson, but he doesn't fully capitalise and get the exit he needs to make the move. But Lukomsky, he wants to stay behind Welch because he wants to farm out the battery. He wants to make sure that he has the resources he needs to fend off any attack. Or, should the time come, take the move to Welch, because teammates, they may be in constructors, but when it comes to the Drivers' Championship, you're all out for yourself here.
Yep, you are indeed. And I saw them for a second. Louis Welch making multiple mistakes there into turn number 8. And, of course, back down at turn number 3 there. So I'm not sure what's the issue with him, but hopefully he can still continue along in fine form here and defend the position of P5 here in this race. We can see there further back, of course, Bradley Holdham looking to close in once again on his teammate Matt Gross. One of those two have just been working together all race long. As pit stops are now being happened. It's going to be Kai and Daniel first to get into the pit lane here, off of the soft compounded tyre, looking to now get themselves probably onto a set of the mediums to take those to the end of this race. We can see the top 4 still staying out on their medium tyres, and also Lenny Pipinter as well on his set of soft, staying out once more here in this Grand Prix. So we'll see what these soft runners can do with this strategy. Of course, we do believe there's rain after 30 minutes. Of course, it would be nice if someone in the chat could confirm that with us, so we know we're not waffling rubbish to you and what we're saying is actually true, because from what I believe it's true. But then again, it's the F123 game. Does it tell us the truth all the while, Sappy? No.
Well, it tells the truth, us being able to join lobbies, and we found out pretty quickly what that turned out to be. Curiously, Pearson, I think, is the one to believe in the rain strat, because he's gone onto a second set of softs, where Yeltsin has gone onto the set of mediums. So Yeltsin's going to, at this point in time, satisfy the 2 compound rule. Pearson is not, but I think Pearson is banking on the rain, switching to inters, and that will make sure he is legally finishing.
Yeah, well, that's a big gamble here from Kai Peterson, so it must be pretty certain that the rain will come eventually here in this race. And now, do race clutch use only for Peter as a bit of a blockade here from Daniel Yeltsin, as we can see there. More pit stops happening. Reece Linton and Lillian Debecourt into the pit lane. We'll see what those two choose to go on to. Is it mediums or softs here for the Alpine and the AlphaTauri? We'll go and board it. Well, I'll go and board it with them for a second. Soft for Reece. What will it be for Lillian? Soft for Lillian as well. So they're now banking on that soft into strategy, or maybe a soft wet strategy here in this race tonight. So those are the mediums. Have they played it the best way here?
Well, I think they're trying to go for a bit more of a conservative strategy. I wouldn't blame them for still wanting to take a dry legal strategy, I'll sort of dub it, because you're right, the rain is not a guarantee. Or there's also the other half of the coin, which is the rain may come, but what if it's at a point in the race where you're actually losing significant chunks of time in order to actually make the swap viable? And of course, you have to swap in order to in order to legally finish the race. Otherwise, you get disqualified for not satisfying the tyre requirements. So this is going to be a major gamble for some. It's either going to be an absolute masterclass of strategy for the soft runners, or, as aptly put in chat, it's going to be a disaster class instead.
Yes, that is definitely the 2 possibilities here. For Race Clutch here tonight so far, no more pit stops being made. The 2 soft runners of Joost and Julian still staying out on circuit for now to lead away. Louis and Shimon Lukomsky still working together here to sit in 3rd and 4th on their medium tyres. But Reece Linton gaining in quickly. He's looking to put the pace down and catch up possibly to the medium runners here. It's 1 lap old soft versus 13 lap old medium tyres. We know, of course, who's going to be fastest at this current time. Kai Pearson takes the fastest lap. Lillian Debecourt gets ahead of him as they head down into turn number 1 here. And that gap now, 14.2 seconds. It was 16 seconds when they exited the pit lane. So they've gained 2 seconds a lap here so far.
Yeah, and they're looking absolutely rapid on those soft compound tyres. This is the situation that you want. You want open track, open space, still opportunities to get DRS, but you're not fighting congestion and fighting for position tooth and nail. This is the ideal condition for drivers like Debecourt and Linton to really leverage those soft tyres and start to make up time. You can see already 13 seconds now in just the time we've taken to talk about this. So I don't doubt that they are going to be making some serious headway as we cross over the halfway point.
Yeah, definitely. Race Culture could be looking, if they make this work, they could be looking for a 1-2-3 here tonight in F2. Otherwise, they might be looking for a 17, 18, no, sorry, an 18, 19, 20 if it doesn't go to plan. And Joost is in the pits. What does he choose to do here? Does Noordijk? You can see him there just entering down the pit lane. A long run for Haas is out at the back of the pit lane. Will it be soft? I'm sure it's got to be soft at this point, hasn't it, for Noordijk? No, it's not. It's mediums. Mediums here for Joost Noordijk. Now, he's taking something very different to the race clutches. So does he think the rain's coming in later in the race?
Maybe he doesn't even think the rain is coming at all. He's trusting his gut. And like we were saying earlier, he still wants to have the safe strategy. So even if the rain does come and it's not effective enough to warrant the swap, he's still going to be able to legally finish the race. They've taken out the soft tyres pretty much as long as they can go while still being viable. We're seeing Klaffenbach here as he just comes over the crest of the second sector, turns 8 and 9 now. He's getting a little bit skittish. He's losing time to the mediums now. See, Louis Welch was about 4.5 seconds. Is now hovering about that 4.2. Liam Stevens going to get a time penalty. And you can see Welch is ripping away, tearing away at that time gap. So those softs have had it, but they took it out as long as they can for track position.
Yep, indeed. We'll see what they can do there. So to tab out for a quick second, but I'm back in now, and we can see Liam Stevens there with a penalty on the board. So a big shame for him to get a penalty. And Julian, a massive slide. It saw on my. Oh no, he's got lag. Oh, that isn't good at all. Julian on my screen was going down to turn 1, and the next minute he was in the pits.
Yeah, say he's having a bit of technical issue. I think that might be explaining a little bit of the slidiness and skittishness of his rear. I think he is just having a couple of connection hiccups. He is going to go onto the mediums, however, right at the halfway point. So he's stretched out the softs as far as he can go. More curiously, I wonder where he's going to be coming out relative to the field and relative to his teammate in particular. He's going to come out a little bit behind, but he is still within striking distance. He's about 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, indeed. And we can see now it's the two Williamses who lead with Veloci Academy, 2nd, 3rd and 4th established. So Veloci Academy, they're either also playing this very good or very bad.
Well, they're certainly taking those mediums out, and I think they're going to be using the mediums for as long as they can. If they can stretch a medium, they could get really lucky here with the weather. And I know we're fixating on the weather a lot here, but it really is just that big of a strategy impact, short of having a safety car, which luckily been relatively drama-free. And I'm not going to say any more on that, because we all know how commentators like to curse things. But what I will say is that the weather alongside that can be the biggest curveballs to any driver in terms of strategy, in terms of pace, you name it. So you've got to keep an eagle eye on anything to do with the track condition.
Indeed, and we can see now the likes of Lillian and Reese looking to gain in now to the back of that top 10 trend. The gap, 8.4 seconds here on this lap. Lap 17 of 33. Reese makes an overtake ahead of Lillian Debecourt here in this race. And Kai Pearson, has he had a crash or something, or did he just drop back? No, he's dropped a couple of positions behind there, behind Joost and Daniel Kjelsen here. So then the other question you better differ now is, Sappy, these people in the mediums, there's no point in them pitting now, is there?
Yeah.
There's no point.
It's certainly going to be a bit of a dice-up whether they are going to pit or not. I think they're going to try and take those mediums up to at least lap 22. I think that's your kind of sweet spot, and then from there they'll be able to tell from weather data and if they've got an engineer talking to what kind of tyre they should go on next. Or even see if they can extend that stint out further, but they have to be careful of the wear, because remember, 80%, although I don't think drivers are getting too close to that point, 80% is your danger zone, because that's when you start to experience a high chance that the tyres will delaminate or they'll puncture, and your race can suddenly go from slightly ailing, maybe struggling a bit on pace, to as good as game over.
Yeah, indeed. And I think, the gambling part of this race is what I think, as a driver, you're really worried about, and it's not, it's quite a scary moment. But for us, it's brilliant, isn't it, to see, who's going to come out on top, who made the strategy work. Is it, going to be the race coach team? Is it going to be, the Veloci Academy team? Who's going to make that strategy work the best? As we can see Lillian there make a move past Reese into turn 1. That gap now coming down to 6.9 seconds, and it's all good and, good and in saying that they'll catch up in the next 3 or 4 laps. But then they've got to get past 10 cars. That is a lot of cars to pass in probably another 4 laps before or after that, the rain arrives. So they haven't got a lot of time to make this work. So they've just got to focus on pushing those tyres, pushing those softs to the absolute limits here, to try and catch up and eliminate any sort of disadvantage that they could get here from this race. And then you start to think, have R8G broke this wrong? Because if those in the top stay out and make it work, brilliant. If those on the softs make it work, brilliant. But those on the mediums, they're for a start 2.5 seconds back off the softs, and then another 8 seconds then back off the top 10. So RHG, I think they're hoping for something.
They really are hoping for something, and we'll see where it goes, because another thing is, well, it's one thing to have the pace, but it's another thing to use it. So I think that's why we see the leaders often hold on to track position so long. It's why we saw both of the Hasses really extend those soft tyres to 14, 15 laps. It's because they wanted to hold on to track position as long as they could and remain a threat to the competition. Because it's one thing to have a pace advantage, but you still need to get around the other cars safely and cleanly and have enough pace to do that rather than just force yourself into space. Because when you force yourself into space, that's when you ruin races, that's where stewards get involved, and when nobody has a good time.
Of course, there's just all Phil McKee make a pit stop onto a set of soft tyres here in this race. 18 laps completed on his set of mediums. Now, he'll take a set of softs to venture towards the end of this Grand Prix, and we can see further back now that gap between Jost and Lillian is actually coming down now. 2 seconds is the gap between those two, so maybe those softs are looking to die off a bit. So recently, need to get the pace down and try and push it forward as much as they can. 5.5 seconds is the gap between them and Daniel Koya. And still, it's the two Williamses who lead the way. Lukomsky ahead of Welch, ahead of Cross-Putner, Holdham and Tiger Hardy being the top 5 here in this race. Obviously, they've run 18 laps on their medium, so they're going to be looking to, be in dire stages at this current point. How long you can run them in the race, I don't know. But it won't be money. I don't think it'll be much more than 24, 25 laps. So their hope is rain comes now. Well, their hope is now the rain comes, I think.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that their hope is now. I was about to say that Louis, before Louis headed into the pits, I was going to say it was a tale of twos. You had 1-2 Williams, 3-4 Sauber, 7-8 Mercedes, and then 12 and 13 for the Haas. But Louis, just as I'm about to say that, you go and break it. Thank you very much. But he is going to jump on, I assuming, to a set of softs here. And yes, he does. He's going to be coming out on the red walls. And he's going to have a lot of time to make up when he comes out of there.
Yeah, so the question is, what has his race director told him that the others haven't been given? Because, if the rain comes in the next few laps, which looks like what the others have predicted, he's now lost 20 seconds on where he was before. So yeah, Louis must be being told that the rain's a little bit further away from what is anticipated by the others. So the race cut strategy looking to become a little bit more risky every lap they go by, because the rain still hasn't arrived. And we're on lap 20 of 33, and well, the two RGs are within a second of the two race coaches here. So this strategy hasn't worked.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's too unconventional of a strategy from the Williams team, because they have just sort of timed this as they would a normal double medium strat. They are going to be coming in. I think Lukomsky is set to come in, and yeah, you go, right this lap. So they just wanted to avoid the double stack. They're otherwise playing this fairly traditionally. So I wonder if they are doubting if there's going to be rain at all, or certainly enough rain to be effective.
Yeah, I think that's something the drivers could be, thinking about now. As you can see, Jost Nordijk completely faster than these two ahead. You can see him just pushing along, and yeah, but he's just catching up very quickly now on the back of Lillian and Reese as they head into turn number 3 now. Back on the power as they head through to turn number 4 and 5. We'll see. Jost maybe look for a move down to Tori Vip here, because he's gaining a lot on the back of those two, and also Julian Klaffenbach, his teammate, looking to follow suit as well to try and make a lunch here ahead of the two race clutch drivers sitting 8th and 9th. Technically, they're sitting 1st and 2nd, but they would have to make another pit stop again. If the rain doesn't come, they're going to finish last.
Yeah, but I also think that it's important to keep in mind that the race still has to happen, and the race is still majority on dry. We've got Nordijk coming up for a bit of a move here on the likes of Derbicourt. It's not going to materialise into anything just yet, but I think that move was also to establish a bit of pressure. So we're going to see something coming out of Galp, no doubt about that. He's going to peek to the left side once again. He's going to come through turn 13. Sagras now going to try and stick it to the rear, get a little bit more of an inside line, get a bit of exit. He's going to try his best to push it on the throttle. He's officially got DRS. He's got the detection there. but he's going to go straight to the inside. He's going to give it absolutely everything. Battery, throttle, DRS. He's going to push it up into P7 here as Grosspointer and Crozen head into the pits. That's not going to be Derbical giving up yet, but that is rain starting to come down, and now Inters are coming out for Crozen and Grosspointer.
No.
So, the heavens have opened. The heavens have opened.
Yeah, sorry for cutting you off there. I think we both got a bit surprised that we saw the rain coming through here on the circuit, but yeah, Crozen and Grosspointer are making a very big gamble, is it, there onto the medium so early here in this session. Let's see. Does Grosspointer gain or lose that much on these ahead? Because the gap is 3.7 seconds to Lekomsky. The gap to the leaders, let's have a little look here as they come through. Gap to leader, so 23 seconds off. So they need to gain a lot on this lap. I don't think they will, but they've got to.
Yeah, well, the reality is DRS is still enabled, so it's still technically more optimal weather for the drive. See, Grosspointer really missing a lot of the apex, is just not having the grip just yet, where the track has not got sufficiently greasy or wet. So the likes of Sabrino, Hardy, Jacobs, and Hold'em, they are in very strong positions here. They're essentially going to have command, and that is going to be a couple of drivers. Oh, Sabrino thinks about going into the pits, but he backs out at the last second. He's going to commit for a lap longer on the slicks, but Hardy is in.
Yeah, there we are. So we've got many of them staying out, and two of them going in. Kai Pearson also joining Coco Hardy in the pit lane. And now, this is where we get to the best part of the race. 10 laps to go. We've got people pitting early onto the Inters, people leaving it a lap later, looking to gamble here and make their overcut work here onto a set of intermediate tyres, because we know for a fact Inters are definitely coming here in this race, and we can see Grosspointer now technically be in the lead of this race. Even though we wouldn't have thought that a few laps ago. Taco Hardy goes up into P15 there, Yoris in P16. Kai drops all the way down to pretty much at the back. Then Pinter also joining him in the pit lane. But it's Bradley leading, Rishon leading Sergio. And they should be pitting this lap here, surely.
Yeah, well, time is of the essence. Now drivers are going to have to really double take and consider. I feel bad for the Hasses here, to be honest with you, because they're both on mediums. They're both on a very similar strategy. Of course, the rain is coming down.
And the Williams.
How are they going to be playing this? And the Williams as well. Yeah, you make a really good point about them. They've not long got onto set of softs, and they're going to be going back in again. So the big winners are the ones who stuck on the mediums from the start, and of course the likes of the drivers who, while at the back of the queue now, are already on the Inters and are primed for what comes next. You see a big rush of them. Top four all heading into the pits. Both Hasses curiously staying out for a lap longer, but Hold'em, Jacob, Sabrina, Koya all in now, along with Yeltsin. They're going to jump onto the Inters this lap. You can see that there is some moisture and some grease starting to form on the track. Theo McKee getting a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and then a few more cars are going to be jumping in to the lane. Let's see where they all come out here. We're going to see. I think that's Bradley Hold'em here. He's going to be coming out just ahead of Rishan. Oh, no, that's Yoris. He's going to be jumping right in, and look, that looked a little bit dicey. A little bit dicey there. I was clenching a bit.
Wow, that was a close one indeed there. And Bradley Hold'em now into third position here. And he's got Yoris behind him. Then we got Rishan, Sergio, Daniel all looking to close in here and make moves together. And the gap to leader, we'll look at the gap to leader here on my screen. It's 17 seconds here. So I think they will be caught up because they've gone 5 seconds in 2 laps. So we know for a fact here that those in the top 5 here now under a lot of pressure. Don't know why they haven't pitted, is my question. I thought they would have pitted last lap because it makes sense to. And Julian, probably Julian, has to say it's an extra lap anyway. So I don't know what they've done there. It's a bit of an odd one here in the Haas camp there. So we'll see if that can work out for them. And now, Max leads ahead of Tycho, ahead of Bradley. So that is effectively our top 3 here, which is quite surprising to say, as we can see Jacobs there looking to close in on the back of Joris Krozen there for P9.
You see the slick starting to form on the track, how shiny that asphalt is getting. It well and truly is wet territory now. And we can see the slick runners, like we saw Reese Linton, getting really skittish, starting to lose the back throughout this race run, heading into the pits. You've got Rishan going for a little bit of an opportunity here. They're going to go very deep to the inside, right to the wall there. Rishan is going to go hard defensive against Sabrino, but it's not going to be enough to fully stave him off. You can see he's right there, he's right close, he's on that diffuser. Contact made between the two. DRS officially disabled. Luckily no end plates were lost in the making of this race, and Sabrina remains on the back of the Aston.
Indeed, there. I think there might have been a bit of damage there for Sabrino heading into turn 3. Just caught the back of Rishan when I don't think he meant to. We can see teammates coming together nearly, as well as with Joris nearly hitting the back of Sergio Daniel, looking to pull alongside and make a move. And we can see now a fight technically here for the lead. Max versus Tycho here now for second and third. Tycho Hardy's got a brilliant run on the exit of turn 9, looking to go to the outside here of Max Grossbond and looking to take the lead here in Portimao. To the inside he goes, and Tycho Hardy is in the lead. But Max will try and fight him back. A better exit from Grossbond, but I don't think he can do anything ahead against here of the McLaren in towards turn number 13. No, he can't. He can't fight the back of Tycho at all.
Yeah, and now he's just looking for any opportunity he can to get back at him. So Koya and Crossan both going side by side, coming into Sagres now. The Mercedes is going to have the inside line, but Koya is just going to have the control and the speed. He's going to commit to the move, and he's going to take it. P7 for the McLaren here. Meanwhile, you've got two very curious cases. Klappenbach now heading into the pits properly, finally jumping into the intercompound. But our championship leader, Mirko Suriano, is still on slick tyres after all this time, despite not being in a position to double stack because Kjeldsen is 2 laps on his inters now. He remained out all this time. I think he was very committed to waiting for the DRS disabled notice from race control, and that has cost him very dearly as Klappenbach and Pearson continue to duke it out.
Yeah, looking at the front here, I didn't realise Grossbund had got 5 seconds for speeding in the pits as well. So 8 seconds here of penalties for Max Grossbund. So his hopes of a top 10 is quite unlikely here. What a shame for Max. It could have been a brilliant result, but looking like it won't be at all here tonight in Portimao. But it's looking like it'll be Tycho Hardy who's looking in the best position to hold him in, looking to be in second, and Richard Jacobs looking to be sitting in third as Lukomski gets a penalty. And what a poor strategy here from the Williamses, from the race coaches Reese and Lillian, trying something different, and it really didn't work in the end. But then again, it's a gamble. The weather's not, it's approximate, not perfect, so we don't really know when the rain's going to come here. As we can see there, Nordyke and Crozen going side by side. Nordyke with the inside line gets a move done ahead of Joris now, and into B7 goes the Haas, his teammate Julian Klappenbach, down in P12 here, 8 of the points so far here tonight.
Yeah, I think Tycho well and truly has this sort of on lock for the time being. Provided he keeps his nose clean and he brings it home, he really is in prime position to take this to the line. You see Klappenbach trying to go for a little bit of a redemption arc here. He's down in P11 now. He has got a significant gap between himself and Derbacourt. He's down in P11, and Kjeldsen is not giving him an inch. That Ferrari is right up on the back of the Haas here. He's not going to let him go. Not going to let him go so easily. Kai Pearson, he's going to get 3 seconds for track limits infraction, so he is going to join the roster of penalty holders. And you can see around the rest of the field, gaps are tightening in some places, but really opening up in others. Particularly the top 5, things are starting to look a little bit more spaced.
Yeah, they are here, but I can see here Sabrino's been looking to get on the back of Rishan at many points in this race so far. As I head up into turn number 8 here, Sabrino a 4/10 gap to the back of Jacobs, and then Jacobs has got a 1 second gap to the back of Bradley Holdham, so he's looking to now try and gain that back in. But it seems so far Bradley's got some very good pace there in that Sabre car, and he's not really catching up to the back of his teammates, who's not really catching up now to the back of Tycho Hardy. So I think Hardy has this covered at the moment, and a win here for him would be brilliant. He's 4th in the championship so far. He's on 32 points. A win would put him possibly into 2nd in this championship here, and closing in on the back of Mirko Suriano. So this is brilliant for Tycho Hardy possibly, but then again, he's still got another 6 laps to go. He's got to keep himself calm and collected. He knows that the win's in his sights, but he's just got to make sure he can keep it calm all the way to the end. Joris making a pit stop there, so I believe some damage for the Mercedes, and we can see here a fight possibly for the podium here between Sabrino and Jacobs.
Yeah, and let's see what they can do here. So Sabrino he has been doing a very good job of keeping to the back of the Aston, really keeping the pressure up. He hasn't got too risky. He hasn't really got himself into much trouble, which is the best place to be in a wet situation race like this. Especially when you transition from dry to wet, it's much harder for drivers to learn to peel back and have to adjust their driving style in a way. It is certainly going to be a big push, but the reality of it is, all Rishan needs to do, by contrast, is just keep his nose clean. Because by Gross Pointer's penalty, he's going to drop out into at least P11, and that is going to get him a P3 on the spot by just making it home.
It will, and we can see now, look at that gap there. Actually, Holdham's gaining in quickly on the back of Grossport, and then that gap to Tycho's also coming down. 1.9 seconds here is the gap between them initially. First and second place, we can see many moves happening there. We can see Sabrino looking to make a move here on the back of Rhys and Jacobs, looking to just close in into the braking zone, but just can't get himself alongside at all to make a move here. And now we can see Bradley and Max look to swap round. A bit of a slipstream here for Bradley, who's looking to take second place. Goes a little bit wide there, but will be on the back of Max. Pulls to the inside line there. No defence at all from his teammates as they head down to turn one. Now Sabrina looking to make a move ahead of Rishan to the outside. Goes to Mercedes, looking to go all the way around at turn number one. Backs out. Hopes Rishan goes deep. Switch back here for Sabrina. Looks to keep it to the inside, but can't quite get the move done. And now looking eager to get ahead of the Aston Martin. He's all over the rear of Rishan at this point.
He's really just trying to manipulate his opponent. He's trying to force him into a defensive line, or a line where he can get the switch back easily, get the better exit, and confirm the move into the following corner. That's Sabrino's game right now, because he knows he can't do it by any other real means. A very wide run for Rishand there. As you can see, Sabrino has now got wheel to wheel, corner to corner. They're going to be drag racing down the back here. It's going to be Rashan still having the edge, but a little bit early on the throttle. Is going to see Sabrino have a big snap on the rear. Can't capitalize on some of the late moves that he's been trying to make here. Now through turns 8, through turn 9, a bit of risk here for him. Is he going to go commit to the wide line and try and swing it back in, or is it going to be... it's going to be a little bit risky. Rashan, you clearly playing the defensive, as you can see.
He's what we got. Nordite gaining in as well. We got Linton and Daniel Kaya coming side by side as well. Linton now into P7 and Rishan holding up a mega train here so far in Portimao. Linton and Daniel still side by side into turn 13 and 14 at Galp. We can see them head out to the final corner. Back down to turn 1 we go. Now, can Sergio get the move done, or will just Nordite look to make the move as well to get himself a higher position? They all gain. They're all using battery to turn 1, and now Sabrino looking to the outside once again here. Can he get the move done ahead of Rishan? Rishan has to go defensive here, which might not be the best, and Nordijk is ahead of both of them. Jos Nordijk goes ahead, but Rishan goes wide. So I think there, Jos sent them both off. Sergio into P4, brilliant from the Mercedes, and then we can see more battles happening. Nordijk ahead of Jacobs. Linton fighting with Julian Klaffenbach, who's up the inside, and they're looking also to get ahead of Jacobs as they head down to turn number 5. Who's going to be making the moves here as they head into Toro Vip? And it's going to be Reese on the outside of Rishan. We got Sergio under battle here with Nordijk, who gets the move done. Sappy, you don't know where to look at this point.
It's an absolutely massive battle happening in this mid-pack. It's a cluster of drivers all fighting tooth and nail. There's just a few laps to go, and they know that time is of the essence here. Contact between Rashan and Klaffenbach. Koya snapping into the inside, and he's going to get Derbicourt absolutely squished between the two cars. Doesn't look like there's any damage, but there's certainly a damage to a bit of the pride and a bit of the talent. But Derbicourt going for the double. Goes on the inside. Coming through turn 10, 11, 12, 13. They're going to be coming up here. Derbicourt is committed to the move. He's on the back of Koya. They're side by side. Coming into Sagres now. He's going to have the double inside line. He's going to have the apex. Koya has no choice but to retreat. But he's going to try and get the speed on the exit. They're continuing to fight.
What a move there from Corin. Still, Lillian can't get himself ahead. And now we look back towards the front once again. We got Julian Klaffenbach looking to gain in here and make a move ahead of Reese Linton in towards turn 1. Can't close in enough to make a move, but will close in enough to try and go for it maybe down towards turn number 5. We can see Sabrino gaining in here on the back of Nordijk because of the 8 seconds of penalties here for Grosspoint. This is a podium position, and contact into turn 3. Jos gets tapped by Sabrino into the braking on, and now Klaffenbach's on the outside of the Mercedes looking to make a move to make it an R8G 3-4 here in Portimao. And then we got Linton also looking to also get involved with this battle in towards turn 5 they go, and Sergio up the inside, Julian on the outside. On the exit they go side by side, and I think Julian's got the move done. He has Julian into P4 here.
I think that's going to be one maybe looked at by stewards, because Sabrino had a big tap on the rear. He had a big rotation that he had to straighten out, and that is what resulted in him losing quite a significant amount of speed. You can see him. He's still ailing from that, as Linton is going to fairly easily make a move on him through turn 9, but he's going to remain committed to the inside, or at least certainly make that challenge very much known. Linton is going to have the inside. He's going to have the apex, and Sabrino, since that fight, has seemingly lost a lot of momentum. He's gone down from that P5 spot, from that P4 challenge, all the way down now into 7, and in Derbicourt's crosshairs.
Yeah, indeed, we can see there as well. Daniel Kjelsen getting ahead of Koya there. The two Daniels getting to battle, and Koya back ahead now of Kjelsen as they head out the final corner, back down towards turn one. Once again, they go, and then we look further ahead now. Klaffenbach looking to fight with his teammate into turn number one here. Joost ahead for now. Can Klaffenbach make a move? No. He sticks behind, but he is going to start to close in here. Grosspunner gets another penalty. So that's going to be 11 seconds of penalties here for the Sabre driver here tonight. That's a big shame for him here in this race. And we can see now Klaffenbach looking to try and charge a move on his teammate. Joost gets all squiggly heading up through turn four. So does Klaffenbach. Brunette better exit here for the Haas as they head down to turn five. Can he make the move up the inside? He will look to lunge it. He gets close in the braking zone, and I think he might have it done here, Sappy.
Yeah, a bit of respect shown between the two Haas drivers, as that is going to be Klaffenbach going along to the inside. Croton is going to be retiring in the pit lane. He switched to full wets in a curious turn of events. I think he was predicting the rain getting even worse, and even the Inters runners getting a little bit marooned and stuck. You see Grosspointer really losing the back of the car, and then Soriano is also going to jump in. Our championship leader going from hero to zero real quick, as he has gone from every podium finish to now retiring out bottom of the order. So two cars in the space of the penultimate lap have retired. Klaffenbach with a big slide, still retaining P3.
Indeed, and we can see the top two. It's going to be Tycho ahead of Bradley, ahead of Julian here at the moment for the podium. We can see Joost behind Julian, coming to contact Max there. I think he lost the rear. Now we've got Reese Linden here to the outside of the Sabre. Gets the move done into P5, goes Reese into Max now down to P6. Lillian and Sergio looking to get to battle here. The two race clutches as they head down towards turn number one, and we can see Max there into the pit lane.
Yeah, I think he's retiring out, and there you go. That's the proof in the pudding. He has retired out. He's going to make our third retirement of this session here. Couple more cars who are going to be fighting. Bit down in the mid-pack, you've got Kai Pearson and Jimmy Lakomsky. They're going to drag race it out down the start-finish straight. Heading into the first corner, Kai Pearson has the apex. Hold'em is going to be one to watch in a minute, because he is going to try and evaluate whether he can catch up to Hardy. I don't think he can, but with just a half a lap to go here, a very strong result from a lot of these cars. And you can see the trades between Jeltsin and Jacob still fighting on. Jeltsin has picked up 3 seconds, but I think that might be pulled because he was fighting against Rashan there.
Yeah, it was. I think Richard sent him off there as well at turn number 5 slightly, and that, of course, gave him a penalty. But we look back to the front there, that gap coming down between Tycho and Bradley, but I don't think it's coming down enough at all for a move to be made here between the two drivers here at the front. McLaren leading Sauber here tonight in PSGL, PCF2, and what a race it has been. The strategy was all up in the air. No one knew what the right thing was to do, and Tiger Hardy, well, he called it perfectly. He will come through into the final couple of corners now shortly to take victory here in Portimao. He's fourth in the championship. He will now look to come through and take second in the championship. It's Tiger Hardy who wins here at Portimao. A brilliant race there from the McLaren. Second place will go to Bradley Holden. A brilliant effort from him, and then Julian Klaffenbach will finish off the podium. No, it won't. It'll be Nordijk who gets it at the line. It'll be Joost Nordijk in third, ahead of Julian in fourth, and Reese Linton rounding out the top 5. And now I'll take it back, Sappy. I said Portimao's boring, but that race was absolutely electric every single lap long. You never knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, last minute trade. It's going to see Welch going to be coming in and taking P11 there. Fionn McKee's going to get 5 seconds for his unserved penalty, and that is where your grid pretty much stand. Now, a very curious thing is the championship has basically been given a full 180. Drivers that we did not expect to come away with some big wins. The strategy masterclass and very fortunate turn of events for some has seen Hardy, Hold'em, and Nordijk take your podium spots, and some other drivers getting some very clean points too.
Indeed, yeah. What a race that was. It was brilliant all the way to the end, and it will be Tiger Hardy that wins here in shocking fashion here in Porto. We'll see for a second what the final classification was here of this Grand Prix. And we can see now as they enter on the podium, we should be able to skip that quickly and hopefully get to the main screen, which we all want to see. There we are. It'll be Tiger Hardy who wins from 10th on the grid to take the win, and then it'll be Bradley Hold'em in second from 8th on the grid. Brilliant from him to get himself into the top 2, and then it will be Joost Nordijk in third position ahead of his teammate Julian Klaffenbach in P4, Reese Linton in P5 ahead of Lillian, Sergio in P7, Richard Jacobs in P8, Daniel Kai ninth, and Daniel Kjelsen rounding out the top 10. Then we'll have Louis Welch, followed by Leo Lund, Kai Pearson, Fionn McKee, Shimon Lakomsky, Liam Stevens, and Olympia Pinter finishing the race. And then unfortunately, we did lose Max Grosspointer, Joris Krozen, and our championship leader, Mirko Soriano. A poor race from him indeed.
Yeah, it really has done a full 180, like we were saying earlier, in terms of the race performance. He did say, and did sort of illustrate that he wasn't feeling too confident here in Portimao, but I didn't expect it to be to that extent. I think just it's a mixture, really. He had a rough start, he had to dip into the pits very early, and then he just committed. He overcommitted on the slick tyres, which resulted in him bowing out right at the bottom of the field. But some big winners here today. Sabrino, P19 to P7, Lund's P20 to P12, and you can just see the grid position relative to the finish. And of course, the standings, the championship standings, are going to be quite the interesting sight after this round.
They are indeed here. We'll just wait to see if we can get anyone into the waiting room here for an interview, because that would be very nice to hear from the top finish race, because I don't think any of them expected the race to happen like it did they?
No, I really don't think anyone predicted how this race was going to go. We knew the rain was coming. We knew it would prove to be a little bit of an equaliser and a little bit of a wild card as far as the race is concerned, but not to this extent. Not to the extent that what were seen as mid-pack and sort of lower runners have suddenly got the race locked down.
Indeed, it was... You couldn't call it, could you? I'll still keep saying the same thing, but that race was absolutely electric, wasn't it? Everything was happening, and Psycho in the end, he played it right. He got the strategy correct here. Race which they tried something different. Didn't really work. He did in the end a little bit, but it didn't entirely work. Then the Hasses, who we thought completely ruined it, finished 3rd and 4th. And that just shows that a bit of an overcut, a bit of difference in tyre wear here on these intermediate tyres has a big difference. And in the end, give it a few more laps. I think that Joost and Julian probably could have made it a 1-2 because they was electric on those tyres. But we're just going to wait for Bradley to pop in. We've got Joost in the interview room as well, so we'll drag Joost Noordijk in. Joost, welcome in, mate. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Welcome in. So P3 in the end. What a race that was. It was... Well, I don't think anyone knew what was going to happen at the end, did they? You obviously stayed out a little bit longer compared to some of the others, and at one point we're thinking maybe that's not going to work, but in the end, you come on P3. So talk us through what happened once that rain arrived.
Hear me, guys? By the way, here's. The rain came a bit earlier than we expected to be, so that was a bit unlucky because we even thought that the rain wasn't even coming, or like the last 2 laps, so you don't have to pit. But yeah, it came perfectly for the people that stayed out on the mediums, and even the pace was really good. It's still not possible to get overtaken.
Of course, and obviously you went a little bit longer. You had better intermediate tyres at the end. Do you think that was also a key part in you getting P3, having that that better tyre wear, being to push forward and get a bit more grip than the others?
Yeah, I think that was also like important stuff, but everyone's defending like really hard, so I think I lost a lot of time with the traffic, and I was going 3 wide in turn 1, and I think a bit too aggressive there, but I had to make the move stick to get into the top 2. But I don't know, I couldn't see any braking points on the inside. I had 2 people on my left side, so I went a bit deep, but I lost the position again, and losing so much time there. So yeah, that was a bit unlucky.
Indeed it was, but still, P3 in the end, it was a brilliant race from yourself, so well done on 3rd. Anything from you, Sappy?
Honestly, what was your plan going into the races? I think it's fair to say you two in the Hasses, like you look set to dominate coming out of quali. You absolutely smashed quali. Brilliant job to both of you in the Hass team for that. And see, coming into the race, the rain, you did say, came earlier than expected, but how did, in your mind, how were you planning for the race to go? Like, were you going to be sort of fairly aggressive early on, or were you planning to play it a bit safer with your teammate?
We were thinking to go for the hards at the beginning, because the rain was coming very late, so we were a bit like in doubt if the mediums could make it to the end. So at the end we thought we can do like a 2-stop, so we go aggressive with the softs, then break away, and then go long, and then go to the mediums to have like soft, like fresh mediums for the rain, so you have more grip there. But the rain came too early for us to do that, so that was unlucky, and that like ruined our strategy.
You still managed to make it work out just fine in the end, so well done to both the Hasses, but yourself in particular. You pit P3, you really made it work today, and despite the upset of the rain, you still managed to salvage the strategy into a podium, so good job, mate.
So thanks, Jess, for joining us. Thank you indeed. And Bradley, we'll speak to you next. P2 on the board. Hello, Bradley. Welcome in. Can you hear us?
Hello. Yes, I can.
So, well, brilliant race. You said before that you were just hoping everyone crashes so you can make it work. Well, in the end, it didn't happen because everyone crashed. It happened because everyone else got the strategy wrong. So, P2, valiant effort. What was your thoughts going into the race? Qualifying, you was P8, so in the top 10. But obviously, podiums and wins weren't really on the cards at that point. So, what was your decision there on strategy?
Well, I wanted to start medium. There was a practice race yesterday, and I thought the softs were quite bad. But after the first few laps, they gapped DRS, and I thought probably just a battle for P5 for all of us. But then obviously the rain was coming, so I just decided to stay out. I think I was like 80% tires when I pit or something, so I could have punctured. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. And then the pace on the inters was good, but I couldn't quite catch Tico.
Yeah, because I think in the first part of the inters, you did catch up quite well. You was about 3 seconds back, and you got within a second and a half. And I think then you just couldn't quite get any more closer. But it was it was a brilliant try between you and Max. And unfortunately, Max got 11 seconds of penalties, so he couldn't unfortunately take a podium with yourself. So a big shame for him indeed to not finish the race at all. But it was a very good job for you and P2. Do you think we can see you on the podium again in this championship?
I don't know. I hope so, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Of course, we'll see. So yet again, mate, well done on the P2. Anything from you, Sappy?
Nothing really to add from me. Just a really good job and well done to yourself. You made it work. The strategy played in your favour, and you remained steadfast. You committed to the race. You didn't really put a foot wrong. So good job.
Thank you.
Sappy?
Speaking.
Oh no.
Oh no, we're back. We're back. I am speaking here. But there you go. So that is going to be Bradley Holdham, and that leaves us with the one and only Tycho Hardy. How are you doing, my friend? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Well,
Doing good.
congratulations. Is all I really say. Amazing job out there today. Talk us through, I guess, both your expectations and how the race went in your eyes.
I mean, in terms of expectations, it's basically been the same all season. Like, I've been doing a lot of E-Series, so I've been a lot focusing on that. I don't know, I feel like it kind of put off a little bit of pressure of me in like to perform in F2, because, I mean, if you're practicing all week for it, it might give you some more like pressure, but I don't know, it's been going really well this season. Last week didn't really go to plan, but yeah, I didn't expect to win, that's for sure. And in qualifying, I was like only 100 of my PB, so I think that showed like that the pace was decent, I guess, but it wasn't great. So yeah, to perform in a race like that, and I knew my race pace is usually always better than my qualifying pace. So yeah, I had good hope going into the race, and then with the rain at the end and the strategy going right, yeah, in the end I won, and I think the pace on the intermediates was really good as well. Because the guys behind me had like a lap fresher, and in this game that's quite a lot. So it was pretty difficult to keep the gap to Brad the same, but yeah, I managed to do it, and yeah, really happy, of course.
Yeah, and really good job out there. I mean, there's not really much to say. I mean, the rain. Did you expect the rain to come out as early as it did? Because from the drivers we talked to, it sounds like it was kind of a surprise.
No, to be honest, I did expect it to be around this lap. Yeah, I don't know, that's what I felt before the race, like it's going to be around lap 24, 25, I don't know exactly what lap it was. But yeah, I did expect it, and yeah, I realized quite early on that when it started getting darker that I was probably on the right strategy. And to be honest, until the pit stop, it was probably the most boring race I've ever done, because I've just been driving in a train the whole race. But yeah, in the end, sometimes you need strategy to go your way, and this time it did. So yeah.
Yeah, and you played the field to perfection. So despite the unexpected turn, you still made it work, and you still brought home the gold. So excellent job, mate. Nathan, anything from you?
Well, no questions, but yet again, Psycho, congratulations, mate, on the victory, and we'll see if you can see you on the podium again next time.
Yeah, thank you, hopefully.
And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. So that's where we wrap things off for tonight, and where we put a pin on things to return next week. Where are we going next week? It's going to Baku. So a race of attrition over one of raw pace. So we'll see where that goes. We'll see where things land on that front. And what are your opinions on it, Nathan?
Well, it was a race I got to commentate over a Me series in round 1, and it was an interesting one. There was lots of battling to the end. The top 3 was separated by 10, so it was a good finish to the end. I think it was Shanaka Clay and Ishmael Fassi, I think, who fought to the win. I might be wrong, but I'm sure those were the 2 who fought for it. And there was another driver involved somewhere as well. It was a brilliant race. So I think Baku, the second sector's a bit boring. Nothing happens there. But the final sector with that DRS, that long straight, the set of differentiation really makes a difference there. And that's what makes it such a good race. So I think we will see a very good race. Qualifying, yet again, will be brilliant because they're all fighting for, they're all fighting on track for us at the final couple of corners to get ahead on track. Because if they're at the back, there's a big chance around Baku someone will bin it. Someone bins it, you're going to be blocked by them, whether you actually hit them or if you just phase through them, it's going to cost you time. So drivers will be fighting to be at the front of that qualifying train the whole way through. So it's going to be, I think it could, people won't agree with me, but I think it could be one of the best races of the season in terms of the chaos it produces.
Yeah, I think it certainly could be up there, and it's the kind of spice up that will continue on from the very chaotic and interesting finish we just had in Portugal. But that is going to be for next week. But for this week, we sign off. So thank you all for joining us in the chat. Thank you for being a brilliant audience. We're going to see you same time next week for round 8 of PCF2. Support the people who support us. GT Omega and Sim Racing Centre. Use code PSGL for a healthy discount, and we will see you very soon. Good night.
Good night. He's got the inside off, here he's through, on the left-hand side, hugs the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Opmeer now, to the last couple of corners now, his finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium. Once again, the GOAT is back. Jarno Opmeer wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix.